Did you know that in 2008, at the Glorieta de los Insurgentes, a park in Mexico City, a war broke down between punks and emos? Yeah, me neither. There are four groups in this story: the punks, the emos, the police, and the Hare Krishna. The Hare Krishna is a branch of Hinduism dedicated to worshiping Krishna. In the early 2000s in Mexico, most punks had a passionate hatred towards emos. They thought that emos were trying to copy their style and aesthetic. Now at first, I thought it was a little silly because, well, aren't those two very similar styles? Let me tell you the difference. Punk is a subgenre of rock. Punks hate the government and all corporations. They had a DIY mindset, make your own clothes and your own music. Now, emo comes from the word emotional, and they are a subgenre of rock. Their main goal was to just look different because they wanted to express themselves. In Mexico, a wave of teenagers popularized this look, and that's why there are many emos during the early 2000s. In Mexico, emos had never really been accepted. The media always used the word emo as an insult. And would make fun of emos so much to the point where many Mexican telenovelas would make parodies of what it was like either to be emo or have an emo child. The homophobia and exaggerated masculinity helped fuel the hate towards emos as they were an accepting tribe. In 2008, in Mexico, a group of anti-emo punks made an online group chat dedicated to hating on emos. They would call emos slurs and horrible things in that group chat. They would hate on emos because of the way they dressed or because they thought they were stealing the punk style. They had so much hate for emos to the point where they decided to start attacking them physically. They would make plans to go all around Mexico City and beat them up. At one point, 3 emos got beat up super badly to the point where they had to go to the hospital. This was their last straw. After this sad encounter, emos decided to band together, group up to protest. March 16th was the day of the protest. They were joined by goths and metalheads who empathized with their cause. But what was meant to be a peaceful protest where emos could get justice and be accepted quickly turned into a violent protest. Another big group of punks arrived, except they weren't there to listen or to support them. They were there to be violent. They began throwing bottles and hitting people with their belts. The violence and harassment from that day got so bad to the point where the police had to get involved and try to break it off. Even though most police officers got hurt from the amount of violence that day, they eventually managed to separate the crowds. Suddenly, toward the end of the altercation, a group of Hare Krishna monks arrived at the scene and began singing songs of peace and unity, marking the end of the violent battle. I wish I could say this was the end of bullying for emo people, but it wasn't. What did happen though was that they toned it down and stopped bullying as much. Over the years, they finally stopped with the harassment and had recently learned to accept emos for a part of their culture. 16 years later, in 2025, a new wave of emos marched together to remember the height of the battle, honoring an event that impacted Mexican culture for years to come. Punks being anti-establishment listened to the media and fueled violence towards another outcasted group. I think that in a world where there are many differences between people, cultures, and genres, we should learn from our mistakes and celebrate our differences. There will be many changes to the things that we love, but at the end of the day, it's night. But at the end of the day, we come from the same place. Thank you for watching.